Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about Luck. A lot's been made about this film because it is a return, I guess, of John Lasseter running an animation studio instead of Pixar when she was outed for various allegations. He's now running Skydance Animation. This is the first film from it. He did not, however, direct this film. I think it's not fair to the director and the people who are more creatively involved to just classify this under his tutelage and not even acknowledge them. This was actually directed by Peggy Holmes, who is a choreographer, started as a choreographer and then went into animation directing one of the Ariel sequels and then two of the Tinkerbell movies. And my last comment on John Lasseter will be apparently when those allegations did came out, he had a particular fondness for women in the Tinkerbell outfits and stuff, so it's super creepy that one of the directors is working for him now, but whatever, we'll ignore that. But I don't really like this movie, and I don't think there's a lot to like, and I think one of the things that sort of stinks about it is it just feels like a ripoff of Pixar, and also makes you think like, hey, maybe the rest of the brain trust was doing a lot more creatively than John Lasseter, because this just plays like, the whole idea is a girl who's very unlucky finds a lucky penny after she gives a panini to a cat, and the cat, his lucky penny falls off, and she's loving having the lucky penny, but she wants to have one to give to her friend who is in the orphanage that she used to be in, and she never got picked, was very unlucky, but she wants to make sure her friend, who's this younger girl, is lucky, and then so she goes to the land of luck, of course, as you do, and has to deal with their very convoluted and complicated world and kind of figure out a way to get a lucky penny for her friend. Did I explain that well? I honestly don't know. There were so many things going on, and I think in this luck world, and the luck world doesn't work as like Monsters Inc. worked, where everything's sort of explained. It's like, yeah, we use, Scream's power stuff, and that's like kind of the thing. I don't know. And that's it. And you're like, okay, they make a Ray Harryhausen joke. They're all monsters. We're good. We're done. Whatever. And you don't think about it. In this, it's like constant, like, well, how we do the pennies, it's really complicated. And then you got to we put the pennies in this thing, is another thing. And then you find out there's a bad luck. And why is the things work that way in the bad luck? I don't know, because it's bad luck. And then there's this thing and that thing. And it is honestly the worst. There's certain things I like Peggy Holmes is traditionally a choreographer. There's a lot of Madonna's Lucky Star in this, and hey, I like early Madonna, so that's fine. I think she did get there's certain moments she got right. But for most of it just felt like I was watching sub-Pixar. I really was a little surprised, like, this is like what you wanted to come out for. And Lasseter was supposed to retire before all this happened. So it's like, this whole thing is weird. I don't think the direction is good enough, for the designs are good enough. They go, oh, this is a totally radically different thing. It feels like, am I seeing Hop? Am I seeing Monsters Inc.? Am I seeing the Storks movie, which did a better job of this? And this feels like the worst one, because it's got so mmany rules and so many complications. Like when they're talking about like the luck lines have been cut and all this stuff, it reminded me of that Rugrats bit where like, they're like land without smiles, and Grandpa's like, land without brains is more like it. But it is kind of going into that cliche of a kid's film where they go to a fantastical world and there's all these stupid rules and they have all these terms, and if you just flipped on the channel in the middle of it, you're like, what the fuck is going on right now? And trust me, it doesn't make any sense in this movie. Like, none of the logic really makes a lick of sense, and I just really didn't like that about it. I sort of like the lead actress who does the voice, and Simon Pegg was alright, although he's doing a Scottish accent and all that. But I just didn't really like this, because it just feels like so many things that he's done before with other people and so much better. Like, it's weird that someone who gave creative story notes on Monsters Inc. is making like a way worse Monsters Inc. And not thinking about like what worked about that movie, what was interesting, what that film said about sacrifice and personal responsibility and love and all those things. And luck is just like, she really likes this girl because she knows it happened to her and all this stuff. I don't think that was communicated to the audience very well. I don't really think like, the whole idea of luck is sort of a weird one. Like, it's not like super clear. Some people don't believe in that sort of thing. I don't know. My daughter liked it, but I'm sort of, because she was the one who really wanted to see it. I was not really planning on seeing this film. I just don't really particularly like get the why anyone would really make this. I think the only reason we're talking about it and made a big deal about it is because of Lasseter. It's not like Cartoon Saloon, who I will see every film they put out. I know Apple has a deal with them, like Wolf Walkers is great, but this, like, outside of like who's attached to it, like if I was just flipping through channels and saw this, I would not think it's like a film of note at all. And it used to be with the Pixar, the classic Pixar stuff at least, like you go, oh, I have to see that, I have to see the new Pixar, and this didn't feel like that. It felt like someone who just presumed they could be there as well. And, you know, with Disney, it's like, oh, they have an off film, whatever, they'll get up to, and the next one, they'll still sell a ton of merch. And this, it's like, yeah, cool, you have Jane Fonda, you have Whoopi Goldberg, you have, like, a really cool cast and things like that. But it really was not made to be anything more, any sort of, like, memorable type of thing. And I think they kind of know, like, story-wise, this film is, like, too complicated, too convoluted for its own fucking good. And it doesn't leave you with too many memorable kind of experiences or things like that. You know, like I think, like when I think of Monsters Inc., I remember things like, you know, how even they ripped off that famous, like, the dog and the little kitty Looney Tunes joke and things like that. But they all work throughout it, and it all feeds into a larger thesis. And the thesis of this is she's so unlucky, but she's still looking out for people. It feels a little like kind of stock kids movie of the era kind of thing, nothing farly more special, which is unfortunate because you'd think, judging by all the talent involved as well as the last sort of thing in the room, they would want to make the greatest impression. And I don't necessarily think this film really does that. You know, even if the kid acting and stuff is better, I don't think luck in these kind of films, I think they always like hope, they're like, no, but it's good vibes even if it doesn't become anything. I guess that's like enough to really go on, but it almost feels like a really shallow experience. It's like, yeah, but this is that kind of a movie. I'm like, well, if it's that kind of a movie, like, why are you necessarily doing it? You know, like, what are you saying with it? Why are you doing it in this part of the world? They could have done something really radically different. Seeing where these kind of loyalties lie with this studio, I don't think luck, like, really could become much more, you know, than what it is. I just hope one day, as a studio, an animation studio, Skydance does better and is smarter and makes a real more kind of full movie that really understands itself. This is just like a spattering of things, like we're here because we're here, oh, it's a kids movie, let's do this, let's do that. But I do feel like they could have gone and said something about, like, the moral idea of luck or your belief in luck and, like, you know, existentialism a little bit or something. You know, like, how come Ratatouille, you know, these things go harder than this movie? It just feels like so sanitized and boring. It feels like kind of it done in a sanitized way. I didn't think the human character design stuck out enough. Things like that. It feels like it's being sheepish in the corner. And then when you get there, you sort of realize, oh, this movie doesn't really have that much to say. I think that's, like, ultimately probably the problem with luck is, like, it wishes it could say something, but instead it's just sort of walking up to the wall, and then you're kind of just, like, stuck with whatever this is. It feels like sub-Pixar. It feels like not what, you know, you should have with the studio. This is the famous studios era of John Lasseter and stuff, and this film doesn't strike out enough. You know, as I've said, I can think of more rip-offs that have come years before I even get to this that were probably better at doing the Monsters Inc. rip-off thing than this is. And then it just becomes like kind of a factory setting number 9 animation film. And I don't think we necessarily need those. I, again, much rather have Cartoon Saloon from Apple than stuff like this. And I think, like, you know, it's probably pretty unnotable. It's just notable because who's involved, but you wish it was notable because the actual quality of the film was notable in itself. But unfortunately, this film is not lucky enough for that. Alright, so if you've seen Luck and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.